Hi, this is Asa, and welcome to my audio experience.
The show is about you, so whatever it is, great or small, realize that the body can get sick, it can also get well. It's all about lifestyle. Whatever you choose to do every single day matters with your health. Talk about 7 foods that can spike your blood sugar. Now, diabetes is a topic and really a health challenge that is running rampant in America today, and it's starting to see it more around the world, really. But it is one of the top diagnosed conditions that we see in America. And it's mostly due to our lifestyle choices every single day. That's what matters more than anything with diabetes, type 2. And what happens is the pancreas, this little gland in the body, actually regulates our blood sugar. And what it does, it secretes a hormone called insulin. And insulin, whenever you eat a donut or a bagel or white rice or drink a soda which has sugar in it, then it goes into the bloodstream, raises blood sugar, and then, of course, the pancreas secretes a hormone called insulin to go in and bring that blood sugar back down. When that happens day in and day out, over and over again, finally there comes a point where the pancreas just says, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I'm shot. And they just kind of start to check out a little bit, the pancreas does. So it really comes down to our lifestyle choices, because the greatest part about diabetes is that it's one of those health challenges that literally, if you transform your lifestyle, if you start making better choices, you can come in and see the body radically change. Radically change. So I encourage you to realize, I'm going to list some foods here for you. These are foods that you want to be cautious with because they can spike your blood sugar. And if you start eating foods on a regular basis, if you don't have diabetes, you can avoid it by doing this. If you do have diabetes, it can be a great system to help you head in the right direction. So here's some foods to avoid, and I'll give you some alternatives. All right, number 1 is white rice. White rice is a challenge because it's got rid pretty much of the good part, which is the outer core that has all the fiber in it. And so it doesn't slow down the blood sugar. And people, they said, just in a recent study, people who switched from white rice to brown rice decreased their risk of diabetes by 20%. Pretty interesting. Another one's white bread. So instead of the white rice, go with brown rice. Go with sweet potatoes. It's a better way to go. White bread instead, well, the white bread, of course, is something that a lot of people, it's been a staple in a lot of people's homes, that's for sure. But you want to switch over to the gluten-free bread for a variety of reasons. Gluten can be a toxin in the body and definitely can raise inflammation. But the other is called sprouted grain bread. No, it has gluten in it, but it's a much better grain. Hasn't been processed. It has live components to it, and it's very, very good for the digestive system. It's got plenty of fiber in it, and that's a good alternative. Soda's another sweet drink to keep your blood sugar within normal range. You want to avoid soda, and, of course, the sugar, the high fructose corn syrup. They said that just 2 sugary drinks a day, even juice, can raise the risk of diabetes by 26%. 26%. It's kind of a big deal. If you cut out the sodas and the juice and all that, what will happen is you'll increase your chances of weight loss. So that'll really come down quite a bit as well. Red meat is another one to be cautious with. You got to hold all the red meats, especially the processed meats. Now, if you get a good organic filet, not going to affect it that much, but a lot of the processed meats, like luncheon meats, have the nitrites, and they also have components in it and sugars in it, excess. Even some have high fructose corn syrup in it, just added to make it taste better, I guess. So you got to be cautious with those. Now, most fast food, of course, is probably not the best. And again, you see the breakdown, like they'll let you see the labels and all that, but you don't really know all the chemicals that are in these foods, and that's what you have to be careful with. But yeah, a lot of the foods contain sugars and excess corn syrups and whatnot to beef them up and make them taste better. And the reality is it's only going to hurt you as far as you building your right kind of blood sugar profile in your body and keeping it very, very low, okay? Because that's a big deal with diabetes. All the packaged foods, so your TV dinners and anything that's in a box for the most part. I mean, if we had to mess with a certain food like potato chips and crackers and all these different foods, cereals, that you take a potato and you turn it into potato chips. If you have to modify foods, that modified food is probably not the best. And we've learned that a lot of these foods, of course, raise blood sugar levels. Once they're processed, it changes what's called the glycemic load or the glycemic index of that food, and it makes it a little bit higher. So be cautious of that. And the last one is a lot of the milk, the sweetened milks. So everybody's on the big craze now, right, with soy milk, almond milk, coconut milk. They're like, oh, I'm drinking this new milk, and it's so great. Yeah, it's so great because there's 20 grams of added sugar in it. That's why it's so great. It's because it tastes so good. It tastes like you're eating ice cream or a milkshake. So you want to go get unsweetened almond milk and then call me and tell me how great that tastes compared to the sweetened version, like the vanilla almond milk you're drinking right now. It's not even the same category. And it raises your blood sugar through the roof. It's not worth it. So the better way to go is to get the unsweetened versions or get raw cow's milk or raw goat's milk from a local farmer. Now that, from a health perspective, I know a lot of people say that unpasteurized and all that's not healthy. It is amazing. My opinion. Really, really good. But, yeah, if you're going to get the others, like the almond milk and all that, go unsweetened. And if you've got to add something to it because you don't like if it's too bitter for you, then add a little bit of stevia or monk fruit extract. Some of those can be really helpful as well. 888-283-7272. Give us a call or go to the website. Go to Debbie now. Hi, Debbie.
I need to find out if there's anything that you can take to protect your kidney from the blood pressure.
Well, to protect your kidneys from blood pressure, a lot of times your doctor will give you medications. And there's different combinations that docs will give. And they want to be cautious with the water and the fluid that can accumulate. So that's another big piece of why they do that. But, yeah, I mean, all the medications have side effects. I mean, there's no way around it. It is what it is. The key that I say that's going to support your body, support your kidneys and all, is over the long term, you want to make sure that you're eating well, that you're exercising well, and doing everything you can to really make a difference in your lifestyle habits. Because blood pressure has some genetic component to it, but by and large, it's lifestyle. I mean, there's the emotional component. Too much stress has been a huge component of this sort of thing. So you've got to be really cautious with that and make sure that you've got, again, the right tools. I mean, exercise, proper diet, all that sort of thing to help. And you'll support the kidneys. Now, again, if you're worried about kidneys, another big one on the dietary side is be careful of the protein. I'm a bigger fan of eating more fat. And they're saying now up to 30-40% of your diet in healthy fats are good, not eating sausage and bacon and all that, but actually getting nuts and seeds and almonds and your fish and your eggs, whole eggs. Those kind of fats are fantastic. And they actually help keep your hormone profile high, and they support your body and support your heart, believe it or not. So a couple of tips that can help for sure. When you're dealing with it, blood pressure is not easy, but it's all about lifestyle. And don't forget, jumping up and down a mini trampoline, many studies done on that can be quite helpful. Coming up, more On-Call Radio when we come back.
Want to turn back the clock 15 years and have more energy? This is Dr. Asa telling you to just breathe with LiveO2. LiveO2 delivers the right amount of oxygen we need for optimal health. Go to liveO2.com. That's liveO2.com.
To find out more, connect with On-Call Radio online at InShapeNetwork.com.
Lines are open, 888-283-7272. Welcome back to the show. The show's all about you. It's about your health, and it's about your life. Obesity, now, they're calling it a disease. You know that? So it's not just being fat and overweight. They're actually calling it a disease. So they're saying it's also may have a boomerang effect on people. Calling obesity a disease now makes obese people feel less motivated to eat a healthy diet and lose weight. See, here we go with the mindset shift again. The shifting of people just saying, well, here we go. And it just puts them in I'm fat, I'm overweight, and why even try? I mean, they've called it a disease now. It's like, I have a disease. I've just have this label that I wear around my neck that I carry with me. And it is what it is. I mean, I guess so I'm obese, kind of like you've got heart disease or something like that, and it just becomes this label, like I'm a heart disease patient, or I'm a obese patient, or I'm this, that, and the other. It drives me crazy. It always drove me crazy in medical school, just to see the different labels. I mean, it's not Mr. Jones in room 523. It's the cancer patient in 523, and you begin to identify yourself with that. That's why I don't like, even though we have to call and put labels on health challenges. I get that. But unfortunately, I think people that get the names begin to own them. And what I want to encourage you is to not take any label that's ever been given to you and own it. Your car, your house, your dog, your cat, your kids, your fishing boat, those are all things you can call your own. Those are kind of cool. But, the reality is you really don't want to own diabetes. You don't want to own arthritis, right? You don't want to own depression. And so with obesity, they're saying it's having this a boomerang effect, because remember, health is the 80-20 principle, really 90-10. I really think 90-10. So it's 10% of knowing what to do. It's the head knowledge. It's 90% of the behavior of what you do about it. And that's the key. And so with this, they're saying they included in a study. They did 700 people. They took part in an online survey, and the researchers found that obese people who read the article stating that obesity is a disease were less concerned about their weight and placed less importance on eating a healthy diet compared to the obese people who read the other two articles that it didn't say that. So you see what I'm saying? So there's still hope in their life that they can change. It's like once you get the diagnosis of something, it's like many people think it's over. Well, you had the stent put in your heart, so it's over. Or you're taking metformin for blood sugar now, so it's over. I mean, it's a downhill slope. You're on your way out of here. Grandma had it, Grandpa had it, now you had it. Might as well go down to the local fast food joint, eat what you want, take your metformin, have at it, because, here we go. You're in your 40s. It's here. Makes me sick. I can't stand it. Drives me crazy. No hope. We just lose hope. Hope just goes away. And see, when they didn't, for the people in this study that didn't have the disease, or they didn't list it as a disease, it was just called obesity, they're saying that they were more motivated to actually do something about losing weight, eating better, creating and constructing a good lifestyle. That's what I'm saying. That is what I'm talking about. University of Richmond and the University of Minnesota combined on this to do the study, and it was put in the Journal of Psychological Science. American Medical Association jumped in and approved on it, and they said that, of course, the findings suggest that obesity, calling a disease, may have some negative effects. And they said, considering that obesity is a crucial public health issue, which it is, and a more nuanced understanding, they said, of the impact of the obesity is a disease message. It has a joint outcome, meaning that they're kind of split on it. I think personally, I don't know that we should, I guess we have to call it a disease because it already is kind of locked in, but if we could remove that, there's got to be a different way to put it. I've got my own thoughts on that, because once you put a label on someone and it begins to define them, and it's no different than calling someone stupid or putting someone in a class of themselves, like lower class or homeless, or whenever you start labeling people, you begin to take away their hope. And I think in whether it's medicine or any other field, the one thing we don't want to do with anyone is take away their hope and take away their ability and the tools to be able to live life at the way they need to. They want to live life at 90%, live life at 100%. It's really a powerful tool to be able to be equipped and be able to go from where you are to where you need to be with your health. Because our health is so valuable. It's our greatest wealth. And there's nothing that comes close, because you can get your money and you can lose it and you can get it back. And you can lose your house and get another one. You can lose your job and go get another one. When you start to lose your health, that's when it becomes a real issue. And on this show, we make such a stand on helping people really make the right kind of decisions in their lives. And it really comes down to what you think. And in this study with obesity, it's amazing to see how people really just lost hope, and they just lost the ability to go in and to make a difference, even in their own lives, with whatever they're struggling with. I mean, health really is everything, and our choices make a big, big difference. Let's go to Jacob now. Hi, Jacob, on the phones.
Malignant melanoma currently. I had a mole removed, and it was biopsied as melanoma. And on that same side, it's on my chest, and on the same right side, there is a positive lymph node. It's kind of protruding and kind of slightly hard, I guess. And the doctor or the oncologist I saw, they're kind of chomping at the bit, I guess, to move forward. And I haven't had any scans or anything done yet.
I would, if it's a lymph node, I would have them go in, and this is just my opinion. I'm no surgeon, I'm no oncologist, but if it were me, I think it's wise if they're chomping at the bit to let them go in, cut margins around it, and biopsy that just to see what's going on. Because if it did hit a node, you want to know where that's gone. And many times that can be a good indicator. So, and it may not be anything at all. I mean, that's the great news. It may be nothing. But if they go in and they cut good margins around it, and then they test it, they're going to be able to get some valuable information that will really help you. And, I would tell them to go wide on the margins. You may not even know what that means, but it just means the tissue that's around it. We'll be right back with more On Call Radio. Don't go anywhere.
Want to turn back the clock 15 years and have more energy? This is Dr. Asa telling you to just breathe with LiveO2. LiveO2 delivers the right amount of oxygen we need for optimal health. Go to liveO2.com. That's liveO2.com.
To find out more, visit the show online, InShapeNetwork.com.
Well, lines are open, 888-283-7272. Welcome back to the show. Check us out on the web. Now, our food for the hour we're going to talk about now. Of course, food is powerful. I believe that it's one of the main reasons we can get sick by eating the wrong kind of foods over a long period of time and not getting the right kind of nutrition that we need. But the great news is that foods contain so much of everything that we do need. And if we put the right kind of foods in, guess what? We're going to get high-quality nutrition, energy, output, cellular growth, and the kind of body that we're looking for. It's all about health. It's all about feeling good. It's all about that vitality that we're looking for. So we're going to talk about one of my favorites, which are grapes. And grapes are fantastic. I like the dark red ones we're going to talk about, the purple-colored ones, because the big key that we've seen over the years is a component called resveratrol. And the resveratrol is a strong antioxidant. We're seeing it as the basis behind why doctors say, hey, a glass of wine a day is good for the heart. Well, the resveratrol we know is amazing for the heart. It has got incredible components that support overall heart health. And, I mean, the reality is the alcohol long-term can be hard on the liver. It's a depressant, and it's just got some negative effects that go along with it. So doing that every day, probably, and this is just my opinion, probably not the best. I would rather see someone eat a handful of the dark grapes on a regular basis because they're loaded with resveratrol. And, of course, you get good carbohydrates. You've got fruit. I mean, you've got fiber, and you've got all kinds of nutrients that come out of that. So it's much better to have that. Have some grapes as a snack with a handful of almonds. I mean, there you go. Much better. Now, again, not that they're the same as wine, and I realize that wine, I'm not anti-wine either, not anti-alcohol. Just don't do it every day. I mean, you want to do it on the weekends or that sort of thing. That's fine, but keep it in moderation. That whole concept is really good. But, yeah, getting the right kind of nutrition in on a regular basis is going to matter. And the grapes have got a lot of components. So I want to talk about some of the details in the grapes as well. They're loaded with what's called flavonols. And these flavonols actually can come in. They're really good for eye health. They're good for protecting the actual cell wall and the cells. And then the carotenoids are really important too. So you've got lutein, zeaxanthin, which is great for the eyes. Eye health is so critical, and grapes are actually really good for that. They lower inflammation, too, in the body. And so inflammation, what we're seeing now, is one of the root causes for so much of the disease we're seeing, and it goes in and really just cuts down on the inflammation and the inflammatory process. So a lot that can be done with that as well. And another key, too, with the inflammation is we look at glutathione. And in the antioxidant side, the glutathione, they're finding out now, is such an important measure. It's probably the most important antioxidant that we have in our system that reduces the oxidation. And so also for the cardiovascular benefits, it's pretty incredible. So for heart health, this is where the resveratrol comes in. It increases overall cardiac output. It relaxes blood vessels, and it gives you better blood pressure regulation. So it'll include helping to support lowering blood pressure potentially. Has a lot of potassium in it, so that will help. And then also it can reduce LDL cholesterol levels. That's the bad cholesterol. And in the reduction of the LDL oxidation, so the oxidation is not happening as much with the fats. That's just so you know, if that sounded kind of technical, that's a bad thing. And then less clumping together the platelet cells when appropriate. And then, of course, lower inflammatory regulation or better inflammatory regulation. And increases of the glutathione. All that's key. So with blood sugar benefits, here's another one that I just think is fascinating. So the grapes actually have a moderately high glycemic index. They stay around 40. Now, watermelon gets up around 75. It's about the same as a piece of white bread or white rice, which can be relatively high. And you got to be careful because that can throw, when blood sugar levels get off like that, it can cause a severe fluctuation. And again, you're dealing with insulin sensitivity and the like. The other is anti-aging and longevity benefits too. The phytonutrients that are inside of the grapes are extremely beneficial. The grape seeds and the grape flesh is great for just overall skin and the glow. Of the skin, the glow. Glisten in the South. Ladies, you glisten if you're in the South. And the cognitive benefits are great too. So now, I'm not a big fan, just so you know here, I'm talking about grapes, right? The dark grapes. I'm not a big fan of grape juice. And the reason I'm not is because it raises the blood sugar too much. Take all the pulp and the fiber out. Now, if you want to blend it in a blender or like a Vitamix type blender, that's great. Knock it out. But really, you don't want to get in and just do grape juice because it raises blood sugar way too much. And the cognitive benefits, they know that the grapes themselves can help against Alzheimer's and dementia. And they also cut down on the beta amyloid protein, which is in the hippocampus region of the brain. And that cuts down on a lot of the inflammation processes. Also, the antimicrobial benefits, a lot of those, and anti-cancer benefits. So here we go with the cancer, right? So the research on grapes and the grape components in cancer is focused on 3 cancer types: the breast cancer, colon cancer, and prostate cancer. And in the case of breast cancer, the grape phytonutrients receive the most research attention. Colon cancer was the next one, and then, of course, breast cancer was the other one. And these are the dark purple and the little like black grapes. Those are all the ones that were used in these studies. Pretty amazing to see how all that's taking place just from grapes. And if you look at different foods and how they're made and the nutrition that's actually in them, it's really incredible to see all of the value. And if we just eat good whole foods every single day, cut out the processed foods, it can make a huge impact on our health. I mean, that is the bottom line. If we eat better, we will live better, and we'll have healthier bodies. I mean, it's not rocket science. Sometimes we think it might be, but it's not. Going to the phones, let's talk to Ann. Hi, Ann.
I have been losing a lot of weight because I'm not able to eat without getting nauseous and having a mysterious burning in my upper back on the right side close to my shoulder blade. And my blood pressure goes up and my face gets flush. My heart rate goes up when I eat normal foods like everyone else, but if I eat vegetables and fruit and things like that, I just have the burning in my back, but I don't have the nausea. My heart rate goes up when I lay down to go to sleep also if I've ate anything weird during the day. I just really need help because I'm losing weight and I'm weak.
Well, there's a lot you can do. I mean, first you want to get somebody that can work with you. I mean, I would get even a family doctor or even a nutritionist that can help and be on board with you, so you can have a good team built together. Because in this situation, you've got the digestive system that needs to be rebuilt. All right, that's important. So someone needs to look at that and look at your eating habits. You want to make sure you eat a good low inflammatory based diet. That's so important in this case. And that's just something simple like lean protein sources, chicken, fish, beef, or eggs, low glycemic carbohydrates in the form of fruits and vegetables, and then good healthy fats, your almonds, your walnuts, your cashews, avocados, all that sort of thing. Those are really, really good and will be really supportive to your overall health. And then on the other side, I mean, you're dealing with the back issues and all. I would have a chiropractic physician take a look at that, or an osteopathic physician, either one. Someone that can really look at the structure and say, okay, this is what's going on, this is what's causing this, and have them really take a peek at it and be able to build. Because that way they can work on if there's any neurological issues that are causing that. They'll be able to find that, fix it, correct it, and find the root cause of it and be able to build. Because typically when you're feeling weak and tired, and when you lie down, your heart rate goes up. That's classic with adrenal fatigue, and that's called Ragland's sign. And it's a standard test that's done in the physical exam, and that typically shows a weakness in the adrenals, and there's multiple ways to support the adrenal glands. I mean, you can do, of course, there's saliva testing to confirm that. There's also blood testing that can be done with cortisol and DHEA. But, I mean, there's even dexamethasone test it's used a lot, but the saliva will really give you a good range. That and the symptoms will typically help. But I mean, if you lay down, your heart rate's going up, as long as you don't have any heart issues that's known of, the doctors can go in and they can check that and they can figure out what's going on. So just make sure to get in and see them, have someone take a peek at it. But putting those two together is going to matter, because you get multiple opinions, you get different specialties working on it. And you start supporting the digestion, which is, I believe, is the core. You support the nervous system, which the nervous system, remember, if you're having back pain, neck pain, whatever, the nerves that come out of the spine go into all different organs, glands, systems in the body. So that has to be supported at some level. And then finally, you have someone that can work with you as far as adrenal fatigue. Because in medicine, sometimes it's not really looked at as valid. It's more like, it's got to be something serious like Cushing's, which are Addison's. It's got to be a real severe issue with the adrenals. But I would have multiple people look at that and come up with a good game plan. There's no reason to be hurting, tired, weak, fatigued. Just get it looked at, get a team around you, build that up, create a game plan, and let's get you feeling better today than you are right now, because you know what? You matter. And these practitioners in your area could probably put a good game plan together for you. Coming up, more Healthy Talk Radio right here on On-Call Radio.
Want to turn back the clock 15 years and have more energy? This is Dr. Asa telling you to just breathe with LiveO2. LiveO2 delivers the right amount of oxygen we need for optimal health. Go to liveO2.com. That's liveO2.com.
Connect with On-Call Radio and watch On-Call TV at InShapeNetwork.com.
What are you struggling with? Let's talk about it. Diabetes, heart disease, arthritis, fibromyalgia. Realize if the body can get sick, it can also get well. It's about lifestyle. It's about the choices that we make every single day. And the choices we make every single day can and will determine the kind of health you're going to have tomorrow. Go to the phones and talk with Mark. Hi, Mark.
I've had problems with A1C tests creeping up over the years. I'd like to know if there's any foods to add or eliminate to help this.
Well, the A1C, of course, your hemoglobin A1C is the gold standard test for diabetes. And that, along with your glucose, numbers typically will give us the range. So usually when blood glucose on the blood test hits about 125, 126, then you're getting into the diabetes range. That means the A1C is probably around 6.5 or greater at that point. So they'll have you come back and do another read, and then, of course, seeing what that number is, and then they'll, of course, give a formal diagnosis or not. And one of the keys that we found on the lifestyle side, that diabetes type 2 is one of the most, I believe, health challenges that we have that we can really overcome. Mainly because your lifestyle is what put you in it. There's some small genetic components to it, but it's very slight. It's mostly lifestyle. That's good news, though. So it's not like we're pointing the finger when somebody gets in that. It's amazing on how literally you can start getting rid of the processed foods, getting rid of the junk food, the sweets, the candies, the processed carbohydrates, the bread, pasta, cereal, crackers, getting rid of all that, adding back in good lean quality proteins, chicken, fish, beef, or eggs, getting your lower glycemic carbohydrates on board, like your fruits, your vegetables, and then your healthy fats, your almonds, your walnuts, your cashews, your avocados. Putting all of that together really makes a difference. And it makes a difference in such a great way because of what you can do. I mean, literally can transform your health just with that alone. And that's what I want to encourage you, is that if you'll just modify your diet and, of course, keep doing what your doctor tells you to do if he's got you on any kind of medication, but you stay on your plan that you can control. So you control you. You control if you get out of bed at 6 in the morning or sleep until 9. You control what you put in your body for food. You control what kind of attitude you have every day. You control that. No one else does. So the doctor's going to do what he can or she can in 15 minutes to make the best judgment call and decision to manage your health. What you have to do is to make good habits and good choices every day for you so that you can thrive instead of just barely make it. That's the key. So, again, with diabetes type 2, it comes down to your choices. Clear and simple. I mean, really, that's what the bottom line is. All right? Hope that helps. 888-283-7272. You're listening to On Call Radio. Give us a call. We'll take your call, or we can send us an email there at the website. Either way, we'll be glad to support you. Our quote for the hour comes from Neil Armstrong, one of the greats. Mystery creates wonder, and wonder is the basis of man's desire to understand. Think about that. Email came in. June in Dallas, Texas, says, I drink a lot of coffee, but it's decaf. Is it still as bad as caffeinated? Well, it comes down really when you talk about coffee, and I'm not anti-coffee. I'm really not. There's good benefits from coffee. I mean, it's got like a 65% reduction in prostate cancer, and it's got plenty of antioxidants in it that are really good for overall health. But coffee also stimulates a lot of cortisol. This is what is kind of a little bit on the negative side about it, is it can stimulate cortisol. And the cortisol levels, I mean, cortisol we all have. It's produced by the adrenals. It's a hormone, okay? But cortisol is supposed to be elevated in the morning. That's what wakes us up. This is called our circadian rhythm. It wakes us up in the morning. It snaps you out of bed. And then you have good energy throughout the day, supposed to if you're healthy. And then you kind of wind down as the day goes on. Then when it gets dark at night, you should really start winding down. And that's when cortisol levels begin to decrease. And when cortisol really decreases, that's, a good thing. Well, what happens is people's system becomes flipped. And the cortisol level is actually elevated at night. That's why they stay up and they can't go to sleep and they watch television, stay on the computer, or whatever. And then in the morning, they have hardly any cortisol production. And that's why the coffee comes in, because the coffee bean itself stimulates cortisol. And as you stimulate more cortisol production, that's where you wake up. That's what you feel good. It's not the caffeine that actually wakes you up. It's literally the cortisol production that does that. So that's a couple of keys there that can really help you along the way. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, decaf or not, it's not the caffeine that's the challenge. It really becomes more of what it does to your cortisol production. So 1 cup of coffee keeps cortisol levels up to about 6 or 7 hours during the day. And it can cause increased wrinkling in the skin, aging of the skin. It can store more body fat. Now, if you couple caffeine, regular caffeine, whether it's in green tea or whatever, it's got a lot of fat burning mechanisms in it. But a lot of times when the cortisol is accelerated or increased, that's where the challenge really comes in. And when you start dealing with that, that's, of course, again, where people kind of struggle with that because, it's one of those deals where not everybody, you don't want to gain spare tire. You don't want to deal with destroying brain cells and muscle cells and all that. And I'm not saying coffee directly does all that. I'm just saying elevated cortisol in the body can do that over a long period of time. And it can cause excess weight gain. That's why people that take steroids, it can cause the excess weight gain. So I'm a bigger fan. Coffee, do it in moderation, that kind of thing. But think about green tea, because green tea has caffeine to get a mental lift, but it also has 65% reduction in cancer as well by drinking it, and it reduces cortisol in the body. So because of that, it actually supports not storing excess body fat. But it's another hour in the charts. I want to thank our producer, Jay Patrick, engineer John Garrison, and the rest of the team. Go tell one person something you learned on this show, and together we can change the health of our friends, our families, and our communities.
Do you know you can listen to the AsaRx audio experience on Spotify and Pandora? For all the ways to watch and listen, check out our show page at asarx.com/experience.
Hi, it's Asa. I'm giving you a copy of my best-selling book for free to help you in your health journey today. I'll pay for the book. All you do is just cover the small shipping and handling costs. Go to asarx.com and get your free book today.
This episode is over, but check episode notes for links to products and services you've heard about on this episode. Thanks for listening and subscribing. Please share the AsaRx audio experience with others and stay in touch by giving us your comment or review.